everyone watching. My name is Hanneke and I am a Dutch stitcher on YouTube. And I had a new idea, which was a podcast. And it's just going to be a stitchy chat with someone I've invited. And today I have invited Sarah from SewMeSarah, one of our Flosstubers. A lot of you will know her. And it's just a little chat basically with Sarah about pieces she's stitched, about advice she's got. We'll do a couple of questions and have a little chat. So Sarah, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for
And
asking. It's
for
lovely to be here.
it's so nice of you. It's like I said earlier to you, it's my very first time. I have no idea what I'm doing, and we'll just have to sort of wait and see how it's going to turn out. So it's very kind of you to just jump in there with me, and we're gonna just see how it goes.
I'm sure it'll be fun. We have a very forgiving community, and I'm sure they'll bear with us. But thank
That's
you for
very true.
asking me. It's lovely to join you and to be your first guest. That's very nice as well. Thank you.
Well, I asked you as my first guest because I've been watching you for quite a while now. I always seem to come back to you because you have a very calm way of, showing all your pieces. And I also like your aesthetic behind you. I think that I find that very calming.
It's the
Um,
most
and I
calming place
just
in
think,
the house.
and also I find you very kind. And I thought for the first person I'm going
Oh,
to do this with, it has to be a very kind person. So
oh,
that was one of the reasons. Um, Let's just start and dive in. So, could you tell us just a little bit about yourself and about your stitching?
yeah, I am a mum and a wife, and I live in Northern Ireland. I'm about half an hour from our capital city, Belfast, and about an hour and a half from the capital city of the south of Ireland, from Dublin. So kind of in on the northeast of the island where I'm based. I didn't know any other stitchers, and I was looking to see where are the stitchers, and you guys were all on YouTube. I discovered that in the pandemic. And so that was the beginning of a great adventure and a giant rabbit hole. No, I did stitch before. I stitched when I was 18. Did my first stitch. And I stitched for some years then, and then moved away from it. But pandemic, like an awful lot of us, pandemic brought me back to stitching. I was quilting and things before that as well, but I kind of accidentally found Flosstube during pandemic, and then realized there's a whole new world of cross stitch out there. It's not just go and buy one kit at a time. Now you have lots of projects on the go. You can buy your fabric separately and all sorts of different threads, and so that was a really nice experience, and it has grown into something that I never expected. Having the courage to do my own channel as well, that was a big step. But that has been such a lovely experience. So my channel is, as you said, SewMeSarah, and we have a lovely community over there, and I really enjoy being part of the whole of the Flosstube community.
So, what drew you in to actually start your floss tube?
It was seeking community. I had, in the years before I came back to stitching, I had been quilting, and the quilting community was very active on blogs for quite a long time. And I found that community and really enjoyed the community there. And then it was just kind of, it died off a little bit, particularly over the pandemic. The quilting community died off a bit, and I was looking for community again, as I said, and it was, well, where are the cross stitchers? Because there weren't so many cross stitchers on Instagram, and a lot of, I think blogging for the quilting community gave way to Instagram a little bit, and everybody went to Instagram and stopped blogging, stopped the longer posts and things. But I wasn't seeing cross stitch on Instagram, and then, as I said, by accident, I found I was actually, because I was looking at Kimberly Jolly, who is a Fat Quarter Shop, and I was looking at her quilting channel, and she mentioned she had a Flosstube channel, and I thought, what is that? I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
And then woof, everything opened up, and I found Flosstubers and all of that. And it was to be part of the community that I thought, I wonder, could I have a go? I'm a bit shy. I don't really know, but then I thought, well, what harm can it do? So I just to put myself out there. Didn't expect it to go as well as it has done, but I would have been happier with, it wasn't about big numbers. I just wanted to find a little bit of community. And I certainly have found that. So that's been really great.
So how do you find the process of making a floss tube?
That's hard work. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, I recognize that.
I don't mind doing it because I enjoy the connection that comes the result of having it. But it can be hard work, and technically I had to learn a lot because I didn't know anything about YouTube really before, even just generally on YouTube. So learning to record my own videos, to edit my own videos, to upload them and wait for them to upload and have the patience for them to upload. So I'm telling you all things I'm sure you recognize.
Yeah, and then especially recently I had uploaded it and then it sort of was gone. And then I had to re-upload it and I think I did it 4 times, and at some point you're just done with it. And you're thinking,
Yeah.
well, you know what, that's not going to be a floss tube for the next 4 weeks. That's
Yeah.
just you just
Yeah.
fed up with it.
Mine have gotten better at uploading. I don't know what the secret has been there. I don't know whether our internet got better or whatever, but I do desperately try to get my recording done early on a Sunday morning and get the uploading started before America wakes up. I think that helps.
That might be the solution to it.
I don't know. In my head, that's what works, but it just might be. It might be a fable, one of those myths, the urban myth that you hold on to. So yeah, it can be a lot of work, and you have to pull all your projects out and make them look presentable, and then you have to tidy it all up after you've created this mess in your room and everything. So yes, it's a lot of work, but it is worth it, as I said. So
I agree. And so who taught you? I think you said you started stitching when you were about 18.
yes,
And so
yeah.
who taught you to stitch?
I was just self-taught. I asked for a cross-stitch kit for my 18th birthday because I'm really rock and roll like that. and Mum bought me a DMC Country Companions kit. I don't know if you remember those. And I just read the instructions and I just went for it and learned that way. And then I just found some other kits. There were other craft shops then that would have sold a few kits around. And some of those magazine subscriptions that you used to be able to get, and you had to buy 4 books a year from their magazines. And so those were the materials and the supplies that I was able to get hold of then. And I didn't think twice about changing out colors and things. I was just always very happy to do that but I probably just didn't know any better. But yeah, but I was self-taught, so that was.
And then the pandemic happened and you got back into stitching, and you
Yeah.
already said something like, oh, things have changed so much. Could you talk a bit about how it changed for you, and what was the reason to then go back into stitching?
Yeah, I think through the variety of floss tubers out there, I could see that there is now something for everyone in the cross stitch. So part of my reticence to continue cross stitching at one time had been that I didn't know what I wanted to do with these projects once they were done. This particular type of kit that was for sale here. I mean, perhaps in other places there was bigger variety, but not here in Northern Ireland. It was the same kind of floral still life or a boat or an animal.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, yeah, I stitched that. What am I going to do with it? So there's only so many of those I wanted to stitch. But coming back into cross stitch through Flosstube, it was opening up literally the whole world, because there are people all across Europe, all across the US, in Australia, in Germany, all sorts of places, who are sharing what they're stitching and sharing the designers that are there, and how you can access that. I know we joke a little bit in the cross stitch community about how awful it is that we're enabled by people, but actually that's the wonderful thing. If I hadn't been enabled, I wouldn't have seen that there is something now for everyone. There are cute patterns. There are Halloween. I don't stitch Halloween, but there are amazing Halloween patterns because there's
Yeah.
such a big interest in that. There are subversive patterns. There are the traditional patterns. There's your full coverage patterns of all kinds of varieties. So fantasy, the traditional kind of house patterns, and then of course you've got traditional samplers and reproduction samplers as well. And I was amazed by the breadth that there is. And I thought, well, there'll be something here for me. No, there'll be something I can find that I
Yeah.
want to stitch. And I think I have found that I want to stitch lots of different things, so I didn't just decide on one of those categories. I'm not going to go the Halloween route because that's not me, but I'll dip my toe in a sampler, but I'm not a sampler stitcher. But I like some of the cutesy things. I like some of the modern things. I'm trying a little bit of full coverage, but I'm not very good at that because I'm not monogamous enough to get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also, to be introduced to fabrics. So fabrics other than Ada and other than 14 and 16 count. So you have those fabrics, you have overdyes, you have the overdyed threads. So just a world, just a whole world. And you can make it as complicated as you want to, but you can also just have a fabric, a needle, and a thread, and a pattern, and away you go. And that's what
It
I
is
love.
that simple,
So
really. Yeah.
adaptable, yeah.
Yeah. And so we already spoke before shortly about how to get all those supplies. So you said there's not really a shop like that in where you live.
No,
So do you order online or do you do a lot of Etsy kind of stuff?
I order mostly online, mostly from UK shops. There's a bit of an issue about posting at the moment, because of the new EU rules and where Northern Ireland sits, in the EU, because of we're part of the UK, but we also have a special dispensation. It's very political and very complicated, but it's difficult for us right now to get post of any kind, not just cross stitch, but of any kind, from small businesses who can't afford to pay the agent fees for the new licenses that the EU have put in place. So it makes things a little bit more difficult. But over the period of time that I have been stitching, I've been able to order from the US and from the UK and from Europe as well. From Sooty Day is there in the Netherlands as well, and I know someone told me about Casa Sanina as well.
Yeah, that's also a very good one.
So
Yeah.
I think I've ordered PDFs from them. I do a little bit of Etsy, not so much of Etsy, but a few designers that I would follow on Etsy who will put out their patterns as well. So, but again, that's all the variety. That's all those options are open to us. Just
So there are ways to get what you want, but you might have
ah,
to go around it a little bit.
yes, absolutely.
Could you, because I've asked you to prepare a few pieces that mean something to you and
Yeah,
that you want to show for a certain reason. So would you be able to share some of those pieces with
yeah,
us?
of course. The first one is a really big one, and it's not going to surprise you that it's a modern folk embroidery.
There we go. It was
But
bound to happen, wasn't it?
it had to be. It had to be. So I'll try and keep the ring light
Wow,
out of there.
that is
So
stunning.
this is Jacob's Modern Folk Embroidery Stitch Along, and it was the 2020 Stitch Along, and it's called a Family Patchwork Sampler.
Wow.
So this is the biggest piece I've ever stitched so far, and it's my pride and joy, just because it took me so long. I didn't find it when it was the Stitch Along. I was
Right.
well come back to stitching at that stage, so I found it the year after and started it then, and it took me 2 years to stitch it, among other things, because I'm not a monogamous stitcher anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm so pleased with this. So this means a lot because it's my family piece, if you like, for my husband and me and my kids. So our initials are on there. It's too big for me to point to and hold at the same time. Sorry.
Yeah. I can see your name in the bottom
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh,
And
it's
so
so beautiful. And is it stitched with one color?
it is. I'll try and move it a little bit closer. It's DMC, and it is 3832. So it's like a raspberry pink color. Um,
Beautiful.
I didn't really know a lot about variegated threads when I started this.
Mm.
Um, Other than the DMC variegated, I didn't know about
Yeah.
overdyed threads. I was hearing about them on Flosstubes, but hadn't really experienced them. So possibly if I was to restart it now, I would maybe choose a variegated, but actually I quite like, it doesn't bother me that it's all the one color and isn't variegated at all. So I think it came out really nicely.
And to be honest, I think that DMC is getting not enough credit sometimes because I think
Oh,
it's great floss. And if I look at this piece, I think it's absolutely stunning. And
yeah,
the DMC is beautiful.
DMC is beautiful floss, and their variegateds are nice too. I like them. Some people don't like the variegated DMC because it's quite starkly variegated. There's a lot, it's not subtle variegation.
That's
Um,
true.
but, but I like that for particular projects too. Sometimes I wonder if the variegation is so subtle, is it worth is it worth paying for, really?
Yeah, agreed.
But I have absolutely no problem at all with DMC.
Mm.
This is the 3832, and I stitched it on a white Murano. So that was me. That was my first effort on an even weave, I think.
Right.
Large effort on an even weave. And again, I probably would choose a linen now, but
I think it's
it's
beautiful. And I think that
Murano.
house on what is for me I think it's on the left side, it's closest to you, basically. It's like
Yeah,
a house in the middle. Beautiful.
yeah. I know all those little window panes. They were not so much
Yeah.
at the time. They were not that much fun
Oh,
at the time, but it's like everything, all those little bits of effort, they're worth it in the end, aren't they?
these
So
patterns
that,
are lovely to make. They are so relaxing to stitch.
yes. Yeah, there's something about Jacob's samplers, his original samplers, the ones that he designs, not reproduces, but they're
Yeah,
very therapeutic to me. For whatever reason, I find a rhythm and a method in them that really I find it really, really helpful for my mental health, to be honest. I really do.
I
So
agree. Yeah.
I love stitching those. So that's my mega Jacob piece from Modern Folk.
Absolutely stunning. And it's also beautifully framed. Is it professionally framed or did you do it
No,
yourself?
I did it myself. I ordered the
Wow.
custom frame. I did order a custom frame, and then I did it myself. So it's not perfect, but it's good. It's fine. So
From what I can see, it looks perfect. So well done you, because that's
thank
difficult.
you. Thank you. Yeah, it's something I like to do myself. It's, just the cost of framing, it would be lovely. I guess, especially with a piece like that, it is so special. It would be worth the money to have it professionally framed. But I just didn't have the money, so so I tried.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Do you have people that you can go to for framing?
so yes, there are framers, and I do believe there are framers who can do needlework, but I would have to ask around again to know exactly who they are. But I do know there's that you can get it done here. So, um, but I taught myself to lace, and um, I taught myself to lace a long time ago, and then I have looked at YouTube since then, and obviously refined my rather rudimentary skills with other people's expert knowledge, and I actually quite enjoy lacing as well. I mean, it can be difficult to get it straight, but
Yeah.
I well, I don't really foresee my family being too precious about my work when I'm done. So as long as I'm happy with it now, that's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you do a good job, I mean, I just tape it at the back. So I think the fact that you're lacing is already amazing. And that is difficult. And it takes quite a bit of time to do that
That'll
properly.
take a little while. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So it does. So that, yeah, sorry, I had to put it down because my shoulder is so heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Oh,
Yeah, but it's beautiful. It's
thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you. I love it. So the next piece is it's a series, and it's one of the monthly series. So right now on display on the dresser behind me, this normally sits is my little monthly marker. And this is a series of 12 monthly markers from Crocette A Go-Go. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but she's an Italian designer.
Yeah.
Beautiful patterns. Her shop is on Etsy, but you can, I think, buy paper copies in some places, maybe like on 123 Stitch and other places as well.
Yeah.
So I stitched all 12 of these, but the reason that this is special to me, and I'll show you the others in a second, is because this was the first stitch along that I hosted on my channel, and
Oh, wow.
and people joined me, so it was like, I'm gonna do a stitch along. I don't know if anybody will join me.
Well, that's lovely.
It was really nice. It was really fun, and to meet some people. So there we have January and February.
Oh, they are so cute.
They're really cute, and I stitched them on even weave, and it's a silver grey even weave, 32 count, 2/2 with the DMC that was called for. So
Right.
I just use her colors because they're perfect. So
Yeah, I love it.
and
Yeah.
I stitched everything as is except the October chart. I changed it a little bit. So that's January and February, and then March and April. And she sells these as 3 separate patterns with 4 months on each pattern. So that's how you purchase them.
I think I looked at it recently and I thought that would be lovely to do throughout a year. And I'm doing one of the stitch alongs at the moment with the Country Needleworks
Yeah, yeah,
Village Club. But this one has been in my
yeah.
basket for a while because I think it's so cute.
It's very cute. And there's lots of stitching in each piece. You think, oh, they're only tiny little things, but there's lots
Oh,
of stitching there.
yeah,
It's really a good value for money in terms of
yeah,
in terms of chart
absolutely.
that you get. So May
And
and June.
are they flat finishes with a piece of fabric behind?
Yes, yes, I'll show you. So
Oh, I love that one.
the flat finish and the fabric on the back. And can you see? Can you see
Yeah,
that?
very neat. Yeah.
I have a tutorial on my channel for how I did these, how I flat finished these. So if, oops, I could send you the link to that. Maybe you can link it in your notes if anybody
Yes.
is interested. I talk about how to measure them. Now, specifically, it's for this, but you could take the principles of it and apply
Yeah.
it to any flat piece that you want. And this was my first time doing these as well. So that was really nice to learn. And
Yeah. They're
that was
very neat.
the other thing that coming onto Flosstube did was open up for me how people use their cross stitch pieces now. Not everything just gets framed and put on the wall. There are pillows and drums and flat
Yeah.
folds and finishes, of all kinds. And that was exciting too. So here's September and October. And I changed October slightly. Mostly it's the same. I think it was slightly more Halloween-y. I think there was a spider and something else. And
I
I
love
changed
that one.
it. I changed it for the moon. I think that was what I did. I can't remember. It's not a significant change, but
It's
and
very
so
cute. And the owl is very, very nice as well.
yes, yeah, I whipped September away very quickly there. So
Yeah,
colors.
September is my birth month, so that's always my favorite
Oh,
one.
yeah. And I think it's a back to school month. There are books and apples
Yeah.
for the future and that kind of
And the
idea.
hedgehog is so nice.
Yes, so cute. See,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
she's very good at the little details that really bring it out.
Yeah.
So November has a raccoon on there.
Oh yeah, like that too.
And the little boots are cute as well.
Yeah.
And then
The
you just,
umbrella is nice.
yeah. So that's the Crocetta Go-Go. I didn't actually say what they're called, sorry. They are called La Finestra del Tempo, which
Wow.
is window of time. So
Ah,
La
right.
Finestra del Tempo by Crocetta Go-Go.
They
And
are very nice. I
yeah,
really like those.
Yeah, they're really cute. Colors are great. A
Yeah,
lovely pattern, and a lot of the colors are used throughout all of the colorways continue through the chart.
yeah.
So that was good too. So
So how
that was,
many people joined you in your stitch along on that one?
I don't know. I think there were definitely 4 or 5 people who did the whole thing, who kept up the whole way, and a few others who kind of dipped in and out of it as
Yeah.
well. So, but to have anybody join was just great. It was just
Yeah,
lovely.
I think so too. And to be honest, I start some sales, but I hardly ever finish with everyone because you just have so much to stitch. And at some point, I just sort of fall off the bandwagon and then
Yeah,
that's it. So I think
yeah,
that's normal, to be
yeah.
honest.
It is when you're hosting, you have to kind of keep up, though.
You do. It's very true. Yeah, absolutely. It is a commitment.
My next piece is a Lizzy Kate, which was a Lizzy Kate mystery sampler when it was originally published, though I came to it much later. And it was published in 3 parts, I think, maybe 4, 3, I think. So if you can still purchase it through 123 Stitch, and it's called Things Unseen, and it's a quote attributed to Helen Keller. So it says, "The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart." And I fell in love with it when I saw it.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I love that.
Someone had stitched it. I can't remember who. I saw it on someone else's Flosstube, and I fell in love. And I have a special connection to Helen Keller in that I really was fascinated by her story when I was a little girl. And I still have a book that I ordered from the school book club, that was all about Helen and her life. And I remember watching the older movie about Helen Keller and her life, and I just thought she was a really inspirational figure. And so I've always just had that little soft spot for her. And when I saw this, I knew I couldn't pass this one up at all.
No, I get that.
So
I think it's a beautiful saying, and I also think that the lettering is very, very nice.
yes, yes. And I do love different styles of lettering and
Yeah.
font. Um, And yeah, I agree. I think this one's beautiful for that. There is a charm pack that you can buy to go along with this as well. I didn't actually use it. So in place of adding the little button charms and things, I did some Smyrna crosses and just, some ordinary stitching basically as well.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think it suffers for it. I'm sure the charms are beautiful, but I didn't really know about them until it was too late, and I wasn't going to order them set,
And
just
it doesn't really need it, does it? I think it's beautiful
no,
just the way it is.
no. So yeah, I absolutely loved stitching this. And then I saw, not long after I'd finished it, I saw a few other floss tubers started it as a stitch along, which was really interesting too, just to see other people.
Yeah.
I don't think they're people who watch me. They're just, they just had picked up on it as well. So it's nice to see this kind of older release getting a new lease of life again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
And the colors are very soft and very, very nice
yeah,
together.
yeah, they're lovely. Again, it's DMC, all called for. And I stitched it on, I don't know if you can tell on screen, but it's a blush linen, Zweigart blush. It's a very, very pale pink linen.
Yeah,
But I'm
you
not
can
sure,
tell. Yeah.
not sure the color's showing up. So I do love stitching on pink linen.
I've never done it, but it is very pretty and it goes very well with this pattern because of the colors in it, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's very nice.
So
How long did you take stitching something like this?
it took me about 9 months. Yeah, I'm looking at my notes there. It took about
Yeah.
9 months, but I was really, really keen on this piece.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
really had. And then when I finished it, I had some really lovely viewers from the US who sent me special Helen Keller things as well. One lady
Oh,
lived, I know one lady lived close by to Helen Keller's house, and she went and she picked me up some lovely mementos and sent them over, and it was just so touching. It was just
yeah.
so lovely. It was something that was
Yeah.
special to me anyway, has become even more special. So that was, just the generosity of the community. But but the little connections that we make through things, you know.
Yeah, and the generosity is enormous in the
It
community. It is
is, it
really,
really,
people are
yeah,
sending each other stuff, and the kindness that is being, thrown around. It's just, I think that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's lovely. That
I
is,
love this piece. And both these pieces and the calendar, you have them hanging somewhere. They're not underneath your bed, tucked away
no,
because there's no place anywhere.
no, everything that I'm showing you today. So this one hangs just at the bottom of my stairs so that I pass it every day. I didn't want to hide this one away. The family one hangs in my bedroom, so
Oh yeah,
it doesn't get
yeah.
seen by everyone. Sometimes I think it should be in the living room, but no, it hangs in the bedroom. I've got too many things now. I've stitched too many things. I need bigger walls.
Yeah, I know I feel that. I don't hang much on my walls, but I basically have used all the other spots now for stitching. So anything new has to be a switch. So something has to
Yeah,
go and something new
yeah.
comes in.
Yes, I know. I'm gonna have to have a box like that where I can switch pictures around.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly
Wow.
that.
The next piece normally hangs just up here in the corner, just over on that wall there. I can't point properly. That's a corner
Yeah.
anyway on this wall.
Yeah.
So just here at my dining table, and this hangs above the dining table, and it's called Gather Here, and it's a Hello from Liz Matthews pattern.
That is beautiful. I've never
Yeah,
seen that one.
I think it's hoisted on there so I can hold it. Oh,
Yeah,
big.
that's
Um, so this piece, I framed this one myself. This is like an art piece from a big box store. And then I just mounted the fabric on some mount board and set it in on top of,
right.
so it's glued.
Yeah.
So no glass or anything. And it's glued on top of. I got lucky with the sizing because it's a really
Yeah.
odd size. But I love this. It looks like a wooden carving or a lino cut or something
Yeah.
along those lines. And there's just a different style about it. And I was smitten when I first saw Liz release this pattern at one of the markets a couple of years ago. And I thought, yeah, I'd like to stitch that, and I'd like to have it in my dining area,
Yeah.
where we all come together. So, and I just love the sentiment of it. But it was a lot of fun to stitch as well. So this is in a variegated floss. I'm going to have to lift it
Right.
down a bit.
Yeah, that's okay. That's absolutely fine.
This is in a
It's
very Weeks Dye Works
right.
Glacier, I think, Glacial Melt it's called. Let me hold it a little closer so maybe I don't know if you can catch much of the
Yeah.
variegation, but
Yeah, we can see it.
and it's on a silver grey Lugana, a 28 count Lugana, 2/2. So it has come up quite large, but it makes
Oh, I
nice
think
stains.
this is beautiful. I've never seen this one, and it is going on my wish list because this is really, really beautiful.
Yeah, the bird was
Yeah.
just beautiful, and well, just the whole thing. And it's just different. I think I don't know.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't
It's
know.
very
I don't know
modern.
how,
It's a very modern style of
yeah,
designing.
yeah. So yes, that's really a very special piece to me because I want when we have family gatherings and things, I want people to be brought together by that kind of breaking fast thing, that whole idea of sharing a meal with people and sharing
Yeah,
hospitality, all of that. And I'm very grateful to have that in our family home as well. So that's why
that's
that's why
beautiful.
peace.
And then
So
the saying goes perfectly with that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sorry, I'm not doing a very good job of holding it up, but it's
No, you're doing absolutely fine. And these pieces must be heavy because they're very
they're
big.
heavy when you bring them up here.
Yeah, yeah.
The last piece that I chose to show you isn't finished yet. It is still a whip. And this is Barbara Anna Light. And I don't have a cover picture for it. Sorry, I'll maybe if you can edit in a picture for it, can you maybe? I can send you a picture. I meant to print it out, so I apologize, I forgot.
No
The
worries.
pattern
I can just
the
edit.
pattern doesn't have a cover picture because it's a freebie pattern. And it is, I know you can't tell, it's really bad, but it's a fox. She's wearing a beautiful dress, it's her tail. So I'm coming up to her neckline, and then she's got a lovely head, and then there's an arbor around her, and she's carrying a light. So I'm really sorry, I should have printed off the picture.
No, that's fine. I can edit the picture in. That's no problem at all.
Yeah. But this piece is special because it is one of the pieces that I started along with Sally last year. So last year on my channel, we had Sally and I, she's a Flosstuber at Flossie Sews and Grows. And Sally and I were both turning 50 last year. So we had a Fun for 50 stitch along, and we started 50 pieces. And this was one that we started together. We had, through the 50 pieces that we started some things the same and some things different. And we chose this one, but this one was really well supported by other stitchers as well. So we had lots and lots of other stitchers join us for this one. It is a free pattern by Barbara Anna, and you can get this from her Instagram, well, her Ko-Fi shop, which you'll get on the link tree at Instagram. Or you can go direct to Ko-Fi and look for her shop, Barbara Anna Designs. Yeah. And it's a freebie. I think someone told me that she put these out around the pandemic time, but I'm not sure of that. But she has a couple of freebies, and this one was one that Sally and I liked, so we chose it. And a lot of folks joined us. So it has special memories because of the community associations that we were able to create and link in with other folks last year. And that's why I chose this one. So I'm sorry you can't see the whole piece and I didn't give you the picture all at one time, but that's where it is. And I'm stitching this on a 36 count flax linen, and the DMCs are as called for. So you can see in all of the pieces that I've showed you today, most of them have been DMC, and there's nothing wrong with a good DMC.
No, not at all. I think it's beautiful, and I love the dress with the stars.
It's gorgeous
in this piece. Yeah, very pretty.
Gorgeous. And we had some stitchers who changed the color of her dress and changed the color of fabrics, and and I think that's always fun to see on a stitch along, how people make it their own. But it was nice to have so many people join with us and kind of celebrate and stitch with us. And it's just one of those pieces that will always and forever remind me of the community that we have here. So that's why it was special. And I wanted to share that here, because that's an important part of this whole cross-stitch journey for me, has been the community. It's so easy to be a cross-stitcher and just be on your own and stitch on your own, and everything is on your own, and the whole world has opened up since I found community in the cross-stitching, so
I agree. It's like people are just one click away, basically. If you're just in the morning, sometimes I stitch early in the mornings at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and I just watch a Flosstube whilst I'm doing that, and it's just so fun to have someone there and see their progress, and like the 50 starts last year that you were doing, I was one of the people watching and looking at all those starts, thinking, how is she going to manage that? But you did, and how was that?
It was really great. It was I didn't feel as much pressure last year as I feel now that I need to really finish them. But it was fantastic having Sally, having a partner in crime to do this along with, and to keep each other motivated. That was a lot of fun, and I didn't think I was going to be able to do it when she first asked me would I give it a go, and I thought, oh, that's a bit much, but we did, and it was great fun. And I'm not ready to repeat it, but it was great fun, and it was a great celebration of for us, of our time, our turning 50 and our stitching hobby, and I really loved it, and I loved being able to connect with the cross stitch community. We asked folks if we could if they would send us some prompts and to set us a challenge to So we had people send us in, stitch something in pink, stitch something with the numbers 50 on it, 4050, stitch an alien, stitch, so
Yeah.
we had some of those challenges we met, and some of them we didn't.
Right.
But lovely, we had an ongoing conversation, as it were, with our stitching viewers.
Yeah.
And we're able to bring people along with us to dip in and out of stitching with us throughout the year. So I think that having that, and not just sitting trying to do 50 starts on your own, that easy. But no, it was worth it. It really was worth it. It was hard because I normally like to limit. I'm not monogamous, but I like to have not too many whips.
Yeah.
And that's blown out the window now. But
How many whips do you have at the moment?
at the moment, I've got 40.
Yeah. Well,
So yeah, and I can't blame them all on the 50 that I started last year.
but I have to be honest, since I started the floss tube, I also find that because of the floss tube, I feel
Yeah,
that I have to show different things because if I show the same pieces over and over again, people will get bored. So I also think that because my whips are also going up, and I sort of also blame the floss tube. I don't know if you do the same thing.
I think it's certainly a factor, yes. And I think also the fact that I like to join in. I like
Yeah.
the community again, and I like to join in. So when someone else has a stitch along and I've got the piece and I really want to, then I find it hard to not
Yeah.
start along with them. So I would like to bring that number down a bit, I have to admit. But it isn't bothering me as much as I thought it would
No.
either, and
Yeah.
I would rather start the things and have the connection with folks
Yeah.
than not. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
that less.
you've said community quite a few times, but you've also said
Yeah,
at some point something about it does something for your mental health.
yes, it
Could you
does.
elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, I am an overthinker, and tend to anxiety because I overthink everything. and
Yeah.
and there's a lot goes on in everybody's life and in the world, and maybe in particular now, and I think that was part of what happened at the time of COVID and the pandemic,
Yeah.
was watching the news and overthinking everything. And actually, I needed a distraction
Yeah.
from that, from thinking all the what if of every day, of the news briefings and everything else. So um, it, lifting the needle and thread and just putting X's in and counting, and you find your brain leaves those things behind,
Yeah.
albeit temporarily, but it does leave them behind. And you
Yeah.
you just, through the rhythm and the counting, you're able to just breathe out
Yeah.
again for another little bit. And it really does help. Otherwise, I would sit and agitate, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then drive myself crazy. and
Yeah.
and become, and in a serious sense also, and become unwell over time. And
Yeah.
everyone has challenges in their personal life. So we all went through pandemic. That was a big challenge for us. But maybe you've got a sick relative, or you've got illness yourself, or I have Charlotte, that's a child with special needs, and everything is a fight and a struggle, and it's a lot, and you're trying to work and you're trying to be a normal person, and we
Yeah.
all carry lots of things. When I sit down to stitch, I'm able to set those things aside for a time, and I
Yeah.
feel much more me. I feel like I'm able to recenter, and I didn't expect that particularly, but that is what happened. And now I know, when I've had several days or a week when I haven't been able to stitch very much, I know I need to get that needle in my hand. In the
Yeah.
same way, in the same way that my husband needs to go out for a really long run, and he needs to go to the mountains and run, I need to
Yeah.
sit down and stitch, and it's good for us to help us clear our minds and to think of something else, or to not think about anything, to just be
Yeah.
focused on the task at hand.
Yeah, I
That's,
completely agree. And I think a lot of the viewers will agree as well that that is why we do it. It's part of just relaxing and letting things go. And I don't overthink things, but stitching, because of the, like you said, the rhythm, it helps me sometimes to think things out. Or so, just
yes,
mull them through and then let them go, something like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's really good for your mind.
Yeah, and I have a Christian faith, and
Me too.
that I also find that stitching is a time when I sometimes come to prayer almost in stitching because, like you were saying there, you get to work things through. So I end up thinking about a friend or a situation or something, and I'm praying through that, and there's a peace that comes with the stitching, with the rhythm of the
Yeah,
stitching that allows me to settle into that too. So that's for me, that's a big part too,
yeah,
and plays into my faith and also into my
yeah,
health as well. So that's a
yeah.
thing.
I agree about the faith and that sometimes it becomes almost prayer or meditation or
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
and in my case, praying mostly. Yeah. And it's lovely that we can do that. And it's also lovely, I think, like you say, through the community, we can also share that on a place like Flosstube and Instagram. And so many new Flosstubers are starting.
yes,
So that's, we're expanding by the day almost. Yeah.
yes, yeah. It's lovely to see the community growing,
Mm.
and how
Yeah.
many we are, and how varied we are. I mean, I do watch people who don't stitch like I do. I love to
Good.
see people
Yeah.
but I love to see people who are doing it differently, and who are passionate. It really helps if you're passionate about your stitching.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'll never in a million years tackle one of those projects, but I love to watch you and hear you stitch, hear all about your stitching.
Yeah.
And in a strange kind of way, you do get to know people who
Yeah.
share a little bit about their lives. I'm not talking about oversharing here, but you get to
Yeah.
know a little bit about people and their personalities. And there are a lot of fun people out there, out
Yeah.
there in the community. I mean, there are people who make me smile every time I watch them, people who just lift my spirits.
Yeah.
Sarah at the Sarah Stitchy Spot, she lifts my spirits every time I see her,
Yeah.
and a lot of other folks too. So,
Yeah. So
it's
it's
a
good
good
for
place.
all of us. I so agree. And it's a blessing to be a part of it.
Yes, it is very much.
Thank you so much for sharing all your pieces. It's
My,
lovely to see all those different kinds of stitches that people have. And the one with the birds, the gather here with grateful hearts was my absolute favorite. But they were all very, very pretty. If it's okay with you, I'm going to ask you to share a tip with the viewers. So you've been stitching for since you were 18 with a bit of a gap, obviously.
yeah.
Um, but do you have a tip for the viewers? And it might be a tip for someone who's very new to stitching, or something for people who've been stitching for a long time. Just something that has been helpful to you.
Yes, I think what I would share is that you need to remember that learning is a process. And I mean this for someone who is a beginner stitcher and someone who is further along the line, but maybe changing to stitch on a higher count linen or with different floss or a more intricate pattern. So whatever stage of the learning you're at, is to remember that learning is a process and it's okay to not be perfect right away. I
Yeah.
have a quilting tutor friend, and she always said to me when we were quilting, we don't expect our children to be perfect at walking the first time they take a step, or perfect with a full speech the first time they say mama, or, she said it's a process and we love their first effort, and we need to learn to love our first efforts too. So I would say don't be in a hurry to be perfect. I mean, I like everything, to be perfect too, and it isn't, but I wish it were. But I think sometimes, if you've heard the phrase that perfect is the enemy of good, you
Yeah.
know, that trying to be perfect means that you don't accept something and it already is inherently good. It's already worthy. But just
Yeah.
because you see all the flaws, so allow yourself to grow, allow yourself to learn, allow it to be a journey. That would be my biggest tip for stitchers at any stage. Maybe you're learning new specialty stitches. Allow
Yeah.
yourself to have a few wobbly stitches when you're first doing those Smyrnas or whatever they are, whatever they
That's
are.
okay. And don't apologize for it because I still get because I only stitch on Ada, and I always get one or two comments that say, "Oh, I'm an Ada stitcher too. I'm glad you enjoy it," and some people look down on it, and I just there's no need to look down on anything. Just
No,
try whatever you like and just see how you grow. And if you want to use something like Ada, then do that.
100%. I mean, in my journey, I've moved from Ada through the even weave into linen, and I love the linen. But sometimes I just love to go back and stitch on Ada again,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
there'll be Ada in a kit, and I'm really excited about it because it's Ada again. So,
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of love for linen out there. I don't
yeah,
think that in the majority of cases, I don't think that the floss tubers intend to be saying it's better than. It's
no,
just they really love it and they really enjoy it. But there's you and there's Helen D and there's Laura at Stitching by the Shore.
yeah,
And I know there are several other stitchers who it's all Ada and it's
yeah,
all just as beautiful. There's, same thing with the DMC, whatever works for you and whatever you're
yeah,
happy stitching, that's
yeah,
what you should be doing.
exactly. So that's our tip. I can live with that. I think
Yeah.
that's very nice. I have a few quick fire questions for you,
Okay, under
and you can
pressure.
elaborate. It doesn't have to be a yes or no, but
Okay.
just what is your favorite fabric?
I like 40 count linen at the moment. And so for me, favorites will always be dependent on the day that you ask me.
Okay.
Favorite, favorite stitch, favorite
Yeah,
whatever. But
yeah,
but right now I'm really enjoying 40 count linen and I really am enjoying the new fabrics from Swan Bay Fabric, the new
right.
dyer. And that's Marie from Stitches and Diamonds who runs the Stitch in London retreat.
All
Her and
right.
her husband have recently, I mean, in the last year, set up a hand dyeing business, and their fabrics are beautiful.
Right.
They're
Okay.
also named after Jane Austen novels, and that really helps because I'm a little bit biased.
Right. What is your favorite color to stitch with?
Red, red,
Red.
any red, 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 and red. And I don't stitch enough red. I don't actually stitch that much red, but I have more red on the go now. Than I have done for a little while. So I think I have 3 or 4 red stitches, but I love to stitch
I was
red.
just going to say because the main pieces you showed me were
No
not
red.
in red.
No.
No.
They were stitched. They were stitched to go in my house. So there was a plan to put them on a wall, and there was a plan, for where they would be. And um, so this is totally a decorating thing. But we had redecorated the house and changed the color scheme in the house, and so I stitched those to go with that. And previously had a lot of red, so I was just moving away from red for a little while. So
Yeah,
that's how come you saw those
I
bits and
see.
pieces. But
Yeah,
red is my favorite to
that's
stitch
the
with.
red.
Yeah.
Full coverage or primitive samplers?
Primitive. I'm not a full coverage girl. I think I'm proving that.
Yeah, it
My
is a specific style of
corner,
stitching, full
my
coverage.
corner of full coverage.
Are you a morning stitcher or an evening stitcher?
I'm an evening stitcher, but I would love to be a morning stitcher. But I work and I've got Charlotte to get up and out for school, so there's no
No,
morning stitching. But
no.
so I
An
stitch in the
evening
evening
can be lovely too.
when everything settles down. So
Yeah, in the quiet of the evening.
yeah.
Kits, ready-made kits or kitting patterns up yourself?
Hmm. I really like both, to be honest. I think there's a lot to be said for the kit that's already made up for you. And I think it's a fantastic entry point to the craft, to the hobby. And yeah, I like them. I know some people look down on them a little bit, but I really like them. So, but I'm happy enough to kit things up for myself as
Yeah,
well. So I'd say I'm kind of even on that. I probably kit more things up myself because of the patterns that I choose,
yeah.
than it being a preference to kit up myself. So
Paper pattern or PDF?
paper.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I like a good
Well,
pattern.
and do you do all the highlighting and the crossing off, or
No,
just
I
the?
don't. I don't usually. Now, if I was going to do the full coverage, then I would mark it off. Um, but I do have markup RXP for the full coverage that I'm attempting, and I can see the benefits of having the software to help you with that. Huge benefits, but I like my paper copy. And then I made the excuse that it was because I like to watch my iPad while I'm stitching, so I want to watch Flosstube while
Yeah,
I'm stitching. Then someone told me I could share the screen, so I didn't realize that I could do
you
that.
can do. You just split the
So
screen.
yeah,
I usually have both of them.
yeah. So I didn't realize that I could do that, but I'm still a paper person. I don't know. Anyway,
I
there
think
you go.
that's absolutely fine. I do both. I don't mind either way. What is your biggest cross-stitching mistake or regret?
Oh, um, I don't know.
Maybe you have no regrets and no mistakes.
Oh no, there are plenty of mistakes. It's choosing which one. I think I've been able to, where there have been mistakes, I've been able to make them okay.
Hmm.
Um, I had a piece last. I can't think of anything really specifically to answer the question you've directly asked, but um, last year I started a piece in the 50 starts, and it was a modern folk embroidery called the Peacock Tree, and I in my determination to get it started and go, I kept going for too long with it when I didn't like the thread. So that was a big mistake. I knew within the first couple of hours that the thread wasn't quite what I wanted. It looked really good on the skin. It was called Peacoat. I thought it was going to be a dark peacock kind of coloring, but it didn't stitch up that way. Sometimes you get a floss doesn't stitch up how you imagined, and it
Yeah.
just looked really dark. It just looked like a really, really dark green. Beautiful
Mm.
color in itself, but not what I was hoping for the peacock stitch.
Yeah.
And I persevered for too long. And that's probably my biggest mistake is from time to time, I will persevere for too long and not just say, do you know what? I don't like that now. I'm never going to like it. So I need to stop now and just restart. I don't ever want to restart really. So
I get that, especially
maybe,
in modern folk because they're so big. So every little stitch you've done feels like an achievement.
yeah, yeah. So I'd say that's probably it is sometimes not calling it quits soon enough, just saying, life is too short to finish a stitch and,
Absolutely.
that you don't like. So um,
True.
call it quits and restart sooner.
That's another tip. We'll take that.
Yeah.
Start something new or finish your whip.
Start something new. I can't really, I can't really say that I'm into the
I
finishing
knew
that.
you were going to say
Already,
that after last year.
I do like to see them finished, but I do know that I now like to start.
Fair enough. Bobbins or floss drops?
Bobbins mostly.
Yeah, me too. Stitching in hand, or do you use a hoop or as a Q-snap or anything?
I mostly stitch in hand, but I will do hoops and scroll frames as well. Sometimes when I feel that I'm getting tired, my hands are getting tired, my shoulders getting tired, I use frames and the scroll rods.
All right.
Um,
Yeah.
so just a simple scroll frame. I don't have anything,
No.
anything fancy. But it just sometimes takes the tension out of your hands and your wrists, to do that. But I haven't used them for quite some time now. So most of what I showed you today was stitched in hand, not on a frame or a hoop. So I like it.
Great. Thank you very much. Those were all my quick fire questions. So that was not too bad, was it? And then lastly, I'm going to ask you, do you have a question for my next guest? I hope for this to be a series where I can once or twice a month have a podcast up on YouTube and speak to someone from the community. So do you have a question that you would like me to ask the next guest?
I do. So if your next guest could choose a designer to spend the day with. So that will be someone that they could go along and see their processes, chat some stitchy chat over lunch with them, maybe even get a sneak peek at something that's upcoming in their collection. Who would it be?
Oh, I love that question. I love that question. I might even take that to all the next Flosstube podcasts, but who knows? Oh, thank you for that.
Okay. Can you guess who I would go to?
I think you would go to Jacob.
Yeah, probably. I think there are lots of people I
Yeah.
wouldn't turn on an invitation to lunch with, though.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for doing this. It was an absolute lovely time. I've had such a lovely time chatting to you. And again, thank you so much for being the first guest. You had no idea what you were stepping into, and here you are. We're at the other end of it, and I had a lovely time. I hope you did too.
I did, absolutely. I have mentioned the word community, I know, so many times, but the
Mm.
community brings friendships, and I have met people that I never thought I would meet in this whole world. I would never have met you without cross stitch and without Flosstube. And so that is a real privilege to have met you too, Hanneke. So thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you.
It's been fun chatting with you. I hope we'll continue to chat through our Flosstubes as well.
Yeah,
And I forward to seeing who comes up next on your guest spots.
me too. That's still a bit, I don't know where we're going, but you'll see it hopefully in about 2 or 3 weeks. We'll have to see.
Sure. Sure.
Um, But yeah, thank you very much. I also want to thank all the viewers for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any tips or anything you want to say to Sarah, you can obviously go to her Instagram and her Flosstubes, but you can also leave a comment here. I'm sure she'll read them as well in here. So thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you have any tips or anything, please just leave it in the comments and I will read all of it and hopefully take some of those on board. Um, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.